I hope you're well.
You well? I'm doing well, thank you.
And it's nice to have you on the phone lines. And congratulations on successful primaries that you organized. First, but let me ask you whether um, it went as you expected it to. Not in terms of the result, but in terms of the processes.
Oh yes, yes, yes. It was a very smooth running process, very peaceful. There was no disturbances. Um, all our delegates, I mean, a good number of them actually showed up. We were expecting a little over 1,100. We had 975 showing up. So generally, the turnout was also quite good, except that we couldn't start at 9 a.m. as we had initially planned due to the fact that a good number of our delegates were traveling from far and near. You know, the Akwatia constituency is very vast. And so eventually we managed to start around a few minutes to 11. But before, by 4 p.m. as we had planned, everybody had been able to cast their ballot, and then the rest of the process continued. So generally, it was a very well organized event. And I would also like to thank the police administration for being very helpful to us. They were on top of their game. The men were on ground, helping us to coordinate and to manage the people who came around. So generally, it was a good election.
Great. And now you have a candidate. But first, is there an explanation for why the rest of the delegates did not turn up?
Well, most so for the few that did show up, like I mentioned, we were expecting about 1,100. 975 showed up. So just a deficit of a little over about some 100. Those were mostly cases of people who work outside of the constituency, had traveled out, and then because it's most of the people within the community are the mining and farming community, other people too were engaged. But generally, I think the turnout was great.
And we've been speaking to the NDC National about the decision to hold primaries. And
Right.
I'm sure you've been monitoring the airwaves, the constant conversations around it should be the other way, MPP holding primaries and you just deciding that the guy who essentially represented you in 2024 should just go ahead. So everybody still wonder what the motivation was to hold primaries.
Right. And so I'll start by saying that it's a matter of record that the NDC is actually the most successful political party in Ghana. And there is, I believe, a good reason why the people of Ghana continue to repose that trust and faith in us. Because we believe that we must be fair, open, and transparent at all times in the advancement of democracy. Now, there was a issue about our former parliamentary candidate, the former MP for the Akwatia constituency, and why we didn't just let him continue. There were a series of consultations and discussions around it at the regional executive level and even at national. And we thought that the circumstances that were prevailing around 2023, thereabouts, when we had our parliamentary primaries, were not the same as today. Everybody who knows a bit about the Akwatia political landscape knows that sometimes it gets a bit topsy-turvy. And so we were of the opinion that, look, this is a democratic process. why not open up the process and then let everybody who is interested join? Indeed, that is the essence of democracy, so that you allow the delegates themselves to make their own pick. The people live in Akwatia and they know who they think should be right to lead them at this time. And so we thought it best that let's open up the process. Everybody who has an interest to contest should run, so that at the end of the day, the choice of candidate that we have is actually a candidate that reflects the true will of the people of Akwatia. And so that was the basis of opening up the elections, so that nobody feels like they weren't given a fair chance to contest and that the party actually imposed someone on them. That is the last thing we wanted to do. And so that was why we thought it wise that we should open up the process and let everybody run. Indeed, our former MP, Honorable Henry Boachi Iadom, was one of the candidates yesterday. He also ran, and the people made their choice.
And now I'm sure the results now are clear to you. Does this bear you out that perhaps the dynamics have changed?
Well, we have as a regional executive body always thought from the beginning of the processes based on consultations, because we went into the constituency, we did some listening around. People generally also wanted an opportunity to sort of contest, and so we thought that putting somebody, sort of handpicking somebody and imposing on the voter population would it put us at the risk of people misconstruing the intention behind it. Indeed, when the three candidates put themselves up for election and then subsequently came for vetting last week Wednesday, it was mentioned to all three of them once again that all of them can decide to come to a consensus and choose one person among them in consultation with their followers to represent us, so that then we would only have had to do an acclamation. But then all three of them actually decided that they wanted to go through fully with the process. And the delegates actually have made their choice. Indeed, all the candidates, like I would say, were very qualified, very known to the NDC. Each of them has contributed their bit to the development of our party. And so, in fact, at the vetting process, all three of them actually went through, because every one of them had actually paid their dues to the National Democratic Congress, and any of them who emerged winner or emerged the candidate yesterday was more than qualified to represent us. And so we had no doubt at all that yesterday the delegates were going to pick one of these three fine gentlemen to represent us in the upcoming election.
And the delegates have given you Bernard Bedia Kubeidu. How strong a candidate is he?
Well, like I mentioned, lawyer Bernard Bedia Kubeidu, Honorable Boachi Adam, and Honorable Erasmus Kone are all very solid candidates. If you ask around in the constituency, they've all done extensive work, both for the party and also for the community. It emerged, however, that at this point in time, Lawyer Bedia Akon should be the one to actually lead us. Lawyer Bedia Akon, I would say, is a fine gentleman. He has contributed immensely to the development of the party. He has been constituency secretary in fact, he's actually an incumbent constituency secretary. for the Akwatia constituency.
Oh, he's
He was
currently the constituent. Okay, so because I was
yes,
going to say
yes,
he is
yes,
the
yes. He
constituent
was
secretary.
and he still
Okay,
still is
okay.
because he hasn't stepped down yet.
Okay.
Yes. So he is actually our constituency secretary for the Akwatia constituency, and he was very instrumental also when our former MP, the Honorable Boachi Adam, was and the party were pursuing the Akwatia, the result of the Akwatia elections in court, traveled all the way to the Supreme Court. Lawyer Bediakon was basically the one leading the front together with his colleagues. And so in terms of his contribution to the party, in terms of his credibility, in terms of his competence, and his ability to even win the election for us, we have no doubt whatsoever that the 2025 Akwatia by-election on September 2nd, not to be complacent, but we believe that it's a done deal for the NDC. And we believe that the MPP are fighting the battle that is already lost in advance.
Very interesting. Okay. So does he, because I got basically the question I was asking, and you seem to have answered it when you were concluding. So as far as you're concerned, he improves your chances of winning greatly.
Yes. When you speak to the indigenes of Akwatia, lawyer Bediakon actually has a lot of approval rating. People actually, he's a likable person. He's approachable. He's serviceable. Like I said, he has served as constituency secretary for more than one term. He's actually an incumbent constituency secretary, and so that tells you the volume of work that he has done within the constituency and even beyond. He's also a member of the party's legal team. You know, a member of the Eastern Regional legal team under the leadership of lawyer Isaac Mintalabi. You know, and so there's no doubt whatsoever as to his competence. I believe that the delegates have also consulted. They have listened to what people, the general community is saying, and I believe that the outcome of those consultations reflected in their choice yesterday. And so there's no doubt whatsoever that lawyer Bernard Ediakumbedu is winning the Akwatia seat for the NDC on September 2nd.
But it clearly seems that he'll be going against quite a strong candidate, because the only polls we have on record, and I'm not sure if you've seen have you seen the Global Info Analytics poll?
Yes, I've cited it. I've cited it somewhere.
It looks like you are in the fight. You'll be in for the fight of your lives in Akwatia.
Well, and like I said, until yesterday, we hadn't emerged. We hadn't had a candidate yet. Our candidate was elected yesterday, and so for us, we are like I said, we are not being complacent in this election, but we know what our candidate represents. We know what he can do. The people of Akwatia have tasted leadership under the MPP and under the NDC. They know which party stands for the development of Akwatia, and they know which other party was in party for 8 years and they did not see a single development project in Akwatia. And so this is a rare opportunity for the people of Akwatia once more to retrace their steps to the path of progress, to the path of development, and to a path that will set Akwatia to become the shining star that it once was. We all know that Akwatia is known for its mining prowess that way. But for a good number of years now, under the leadership of the erstwhile government, basically nothing has has been done to show that indeed Akwatia contributes a substantial volume of minerals to the development of this country. The town has completely been neglected, but there's hope once more. And so we know that the MPP and their candidates have nothing to offer to the people of Akwatia. We know that the NDC is the only party that when it's in power, Akwatia sees development, Akwatia sees progress, and Akwatia has peace. And the youth of Akwatia have seen the good works of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The youth of Akwatia have seen the employment opportunities that are beginning to come up under programs like the National Apprenticeship Program, the Jumara Program. The youth of Akwatia know that these days when they stake their football bets, the government doesn't come in and take 10% out of it. The people of Akwatia know that now you do not have to know anybody to be able to gain admission into the security services if you are interested. And so we believe that these are the things that will guide their choice. And come September 2nd, we have no doubt whatsoever that the good works of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama would reflect in the election. Because imagine the volume of development that can be drawn to the area, having a lawyer in good standing like lawyer Bediakon, who would be able to actually advocate and draw forth more development to the area. And so we believe that the people of Akwatia would not leave anything to chance. They are going to come out massively and actually vote for the NDC and our candidate to become their member of parliament and give him the 4-year term, and then see what massive developments they witness in the area. And so there's no doubt at all that the MPP, once more, I repeat, the MPP are fighting a lost battle. It is already a lost battle for them. And I believe that on 2nd September 2025 is only going to be a massive endorsement of what our delegates actually did yesterday. And lawyer Bernard Bediakon will find his way to the Parliament of Ghana.
And two things you have to do immediately in order to achieve that. This seems to be a heavily fought primaries, because if you look at the results, they were quite close. Each candidate performed quite creditably. It seems clearly that you have to make sure that everybody is on board, a party to unite and reconcile if there are any differences. And you have less than a month to campaign and convince the people of Akwatia that you are the best people to represent them. When do you intend to hit the ground running, and what happens after these primaries?
And so prior to yesterday's elections, we had actually had extensive meetings and consultations with our candidates and their key followers. And everybody had given assurance, all three of them had given assurances to the leadership of the party that whoever among them emerged victorious, all of us were going to rally around that person, then push that person. Like I said, this election is not about lawyer Bernard Bediakon. It's about the NDC. It's about the future of Akwatia, and it's about the development of Ghana. Now, as a party, of course, we do understand that sometimes, even when the candidates themselves resolve to come around the table and put in their best, sometimes managing supporters can be a bit difficult. And so immediately, we have plans to immediately meet up with all the three candidates yesterday. We'll meet with their supporters. Where there are gaps to be bridged, we'll do that immediately. And that will be done before the close of this week. Would meet with everyone, rally everybody around the agenda, and basically let everybody understand that, look, This is about the NDC. This is about the development of Ghana. And so there's no doubt that that is the first step that we are going to take to ensure that everybody is at peace with themselves and everybody comes around the table. Like you mentioned yourself, it was a very closely contested election. If you look at the vote difference between the candidates and the second place candidate, it was only a vote difference of 14, 380 votes as against 366. Very close score. And then the former MP came in, I think, with around 226 votes. And so it was very closely contested. And so every single one of these three candidates is very important. They each control a very huge following in Akwatia, and it will be suicidal to leave anybody behind and not get them to come around the table so that we all work as a collective. And so that is the first thing that we are going to do. And we believe that the Honorable Erasmus Ali Kone and Honorable Henry Boachi Yadom are ever ready to come around together with their supporters so that we fight the common agenda. The aim is to ensure that the wicked elephant does not come anywhere close to power in this country again. The fight is to the elephant. The fight is not among the children under the umbrella. And so the party is going to engage. National is coordinating this election keenly, and the region is also playing our part, and the constituency as well. And so we would engage everybody at all levels to ensure that we go into it with unity of purpose and with oneness.
Thank you, Tetteh, Nat, for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
Nat Tetteh is Deputy Eastern Regional Youth Organizer of the National Democratic Congress, speaking to us. We'll speak to the National Party shortly. The man who was there to supervise the primaries. His own observations and what the chances are. The Eastern Region wing of the party, very, very confident that they can they will win the next elections. We're just sharing with you the Musa Dankwa polls.